Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibiers. Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. Hope you're having a great Monday. We are almost at the end of June. It's like you blink and it's gone. I have been crazy busy all weekend. My son's at Fire Academy for the next 4 weeks, coming home on the weekends, lots of laundry to catch up, spend a little time with him before he goes back. I go to Wisconsin tomorrow to film a little something about the Chandler Halderson case, which is a case I covered live, which was at trial last year. It is a wild ride. And what I've decided to do is to pre-record 5 episodes for the week of the 4th to do a crash course on this case to get you guys ready for when this airs. I'm not supposed to talk much about it other than I'm going there to record something about this case. But as I'm able to, I'll let you know where and when you can watch this. But I decided, like before the Lori Vallow trial, I did that week-long crash course, which was a very condensed version of the whole story. I'm going to pre-record some episodes for the week of the 4th and do a Chandler Halderson crash course because, number one, we have a lot of new listeners who weren't here when I covered that case last year. And it is really a mind-blowing case, maybe in the top 5 of the most bizarre and horrific cases I've ever covered. So I'm going to do that just to allow myself to be able to step away next week, spend some time with my kids. They have friends coming. My folks are there. And I'm just looking forward to a little bit of downtime. I will have my podcast equipment. Should something crazy happen, I can hop on. I may do a couple of sporadic lives. So if you're not subscribed on YouTube, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification. If I go live, it'll let you know and give you an alert. Thanks to everybody who's donated, bought merch. I really appreciate you guys. And so the other thing is I am planning on the flight up to Wisconsin tomorrow to dive into my inboxes and my emails. I haven't checked them in a while. It's just been busy for me. I'm not ignoring them. And if you've sent a message, I will get back to you. And I think tomorrow, when I'm just sitting on this metal tube flying through the sky, is a really good time to do that. Let's hop into the music fact of the day. The Bond movie themes. A lot of famous singers and bands have done the theme song to the Bond movies over the decades. Some of the bigger names are Paul McCartney, Carly Simon, Adele. But in the first 2 decades of the James Bond film franchise, none of those theme songs ever made it to number 1 on the transatlantic charts until Duran Duran. A View to a Kill was the group's 13th single and the last recording with their original lineup until they reunited in the 21st century. There you go. Now you know. So here's the plan for this week. Today, we're going to go through the Bodycam footage, the transcript from the early morning hours when Kouri called 911 and reported that her husband, Eric, was cold to the touch and not breathing. Starting tomorrow, we're going to deep dive into this Bond hearing. I hadn't watched it until this weekend, and I'm going to tell you, there's some nuggets in there. And so now that we've kind of laid the foundation of the case and we have a good grip on it, we're going to do that tomorrow. That will last the rest of the week. Fair warning, you're probably going to see me in the same outfit because I'm just sitting here today recording nonstop a week's worth of episodes. When I get back from Wisconsin, I'm going to sit down in one day and do all the episodes for the week of the 4th on the Halderson case. So your girl's not dirty. It's just all happening at the same time. All right, let's jump into this body cam from when police and first responders arrived to the Richins house in the early morning hours of March 4th, 2022. Before we get into that, I can't remember if I said on the last episode that in addition to consulting the estate planning attorney back when he discovered Kouri was misappropriating his funds, taking out $250,000 revolving line of credit against their house, he also contacted a divorce attorney around the same time. Nothing came of it. Obviously, they were still married and cohabitating when he was allegedly murdered. I read this weekend, too, that she caught a charge for having GHB, which is the date rape drug. So the total life insurance Kouri had obtained on Eric's life without him knowing totaled nearly $2 million. She got these before he retained the estate planning attorney. February 11th of 2022, we know CL was kind of the middleman between Kouri and getting the fentanyl pills allegedly, that were used to kill Eric. And I just want to say real quick, watching this bond hearing, I love her attorney, Sky Lazaro. I was on STS podcast a couple of weeks ago with Sky, but I'm going to tell you, she's a bulldog. And I know by default, a lot of us true crime watchers tend to not like the defense attorney. They're kind of the bad one that's representing the ones that we don't like. But I'm going to tell you, if I were ever in trouble, I would want Sky Lazaro to be my attorney. She's very effective on cross, brings up really good points that if I'm looking at this like a juror, I want to know the answer to the questions that she asks. I think she's amazing at what she does. Kouri definitely has a good attorney. Not sure if it's going to be enough because it really looks incriminating once we get into that bond hearing and see how things unfold with the investigation and what was testified to. But on February 11th of 2022, Kouri meets CL at CL's home to get the fentanyl. 3 days later, on Valentine's Day, Kouri made Eric a sandwich and put it in the seat of his truck along with a love note. Shortly after eating the sandwich, Eric broke out in hives and had difficulty breathing. He found his son's EpiPen and gave himself the shot, and then he fell asleep. Eric thought he had been poisoned and actually later told a friend he thought Kouri was trying to poison him. In late February, CL said Kouri told her the pills weren't strong enough and asked for something stronger than fentanyl. We know she asked for some of the Michael Jackson stuff, which is the propofol used in a very controlled operating room setting. It's the last thing they give you before it's lights out until you wake up in recovery. I always feel like it's magic before. I've had a ton of surgeries on my knee. And, you know, you're just kind of laying there and you feel it kick in. And it's like the surgery took half a blink and you're in recovery. But CL contacts the dealer and they meet at a Mavericks gas station. At this time, Kouri's outstanding state and federal liability was nearly $190,000. She also owed hard money lenders almost $1.9 million. And she owed her husband $514,000. We know she talked to the IRS at length the day before Eric was allegedly murdered. Nearly 2 hours. She also talked to some of those hard money lenders as well. The safe, we touched on the safe that was Eric's. And if you remember, Kouri called a locksmith to drill into that safe to gain access to it. This was when she asked Eric's sister, Amy, who had spent the night before with her, to please leave so she could grieve in private. Well, Amy sees the locksmith truck and says, that's where his safe is. Let me see what's up. All that ensued. Kouri punches Amy, catches a charge for that. The amount of money in that safe was estimated to be between $125,000 and $165,000 cash. So you can see why maybe she was really intent on getting Amy out of the house and also getting that locksmith there. In the years before his murder, Eric did tell family that he was worried Kouri was trying to kill him. There were 2 separate occasions where he became violently ill and just suspected maybe she was doing something. One thing also that I don't know if I mentioned is that Kouri did have life insurance policies on all 3 of her children. So let's go through this body cam transcript. The 911 call was placed at 3:22 a.m. on March 4th of last year. They ask her name and she says it's Kouri Richins. And the deputy says, let me talk to you out here for a second. Let them do their work in there. And he asks what happened today. Kouri says, I don't know. He was fine. We were fine. The deputy says, okay, and when you say we were fine, what time did you last see him when he was alert? Kouri said, we had a drink together at 9 to celebrate something at work tomorrow. We went to bed. I went to bed with my kids and he went in our bed. The deputy asked what time they went to bed. She said between 9:30 and 9:45. He asked then what happened? What alerted you to him today right now? Kouri says, what? I just woke up. When I sleep with my kids, I'll just wake up and go back to my own bed. And I just crawled over on his side. And the deputy says, was he laying in the bed? Kouri said, no, he was on his back on the bed. And the deputy says, okay, you say he was on his back. Where are your children now? Kouri says, one's asleep in that room. 2 are awake with their ears to the door. I don't want them to come out. Please don't make them come out. The deputy asked, where are the other 2 that are awake? And she said, in the hallway bedroom. He asks where the bedroom is. Kouri gives him directions on how to get there. And the deputy asks if there's anybody she can call right now. Kouri says, yeah, I need to call my mom. I need to call my mom so bad. But I don't know. And then it's inaudible. You can't really tell what she's saying, but it says on the phone, I don't know. The deputy says, here, okay. And then she asks if she can call her mom. And the deputy says, yes, I'll give you a phone right now. Kouri says she needs to call his dad also, meaning Eric's dad. She asks, he's going to be okay, all right? Like, I got in bed and then I just got, the deputy interrupts and says they're doing their best. Okay, ma'am, here, you can use my phone. And he hands it to Kouri. Kouri makes a call, a voicemail comes up. Hi, this is Lisa. She calls again, voicemail. Calls again, voicemail. The deputy asks where her phone is, saying that he could go grab it for her, and she said it's on the floor in there. The deputy tells someone to grab her phone and call some family members to come for the kids. He asks if this is her phone, and she says, no, that's his. She said her phone had a big red case. He asks if this phone will work, and she says, yeah. The deputy says they'll probably, and then Kouri interrupts and says, no, wait, that's not even his. I'm sorry, I don't know whose that is. The deputy says, oh, okay, let me grab yours because they probably won't answer mine. He's telling someone it's not her phone and one should be on the floor from where she called 911. At this point, officers are working on Eric in the bedroom. The deputy says, we couldn't find it. You can keep using mine. So Kouri places a call and she says, Mom, Mom, Mom. Her mom, whose name is Lisa, says yes. Kouri says, come to my house, come to my house. Her mom asks, what's going on? Kouri says, I don't know. Something's wrong with Eric. The police and ambulance are here. I don't know what's happening. He wasn't breathing and I don't know. Her mom asks who, and Kouri says, Eric. Her mom asks, where's he at? And Kouri says, he's at my house, at my house. Interesting how she said my house and not our house. Kouri says, can you come over here? Her mom says, I'm on my way. The deputy tells Kouri that he thinks his partner found her phone and asks her if this is her phone. And she says that's her phone. The deputy said, so your husband is Eric Eugene Richins. And she says, yes, but he wasn't, and it's inaudible. She says, and the deputy says, does he have any medical conditions or anything like that? And Kouri says, well, he has Lyme's disease. And the deputy says Lyme's disease. And Kouri says, but nothing major. The deputy says no heart problems, anything like that. And Kouri says, no. He said his chest was hurting when he went to bed. But that's, not if he doesn't drink enough water, when he gets on the bike downstairs. I don't know. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. And then he said he was really tired because he got his allergy shots yesterday morning with my son. They went to, and the deputy asked, what time did you discover him? And she says, I got up, got my phone, and it was maybe 3 a.m. The deputy asked if she immediately called 911, and she said, yeah, well, I got up, and, well, as soon as I turned over, he was cold. I just felt like something was wrong. So, I just put the blanket on him because I thought we keep our room cold. And then I sat there for a minute and I just didn't feel like he was breathing or anything. So I turned the blanket on and I was just like I said, Eric, he felt so heavy. And so the deputy interrupts and asked if Eric's had COVID or anything like that. And she said, we all just got over COVID. The deputy asked, when was that? And she said it was a couple of weeks ago. The deputy says, okay, so not recently. And Kouri says, well, he had a negative test. So I was the last to test positive and then he had it. So his last negative test was a week ago. He asked her name and she said, Kouri Richins. He asks with a C and she said no. And she spells out her first name to him. She then says, sometimes he'll eat a gummy before he goes to bed. It didn't seem like he did though. The deputy asked, so like a gummy as in a THC gummy? And she says, uh-huh. The deputy asked who Eric's primary care physician was, and she tells him the name. The deputy asked when he last saw his doctor for a physical, and she said 6 months maybe. I've been traveling more this year than I have in a really long time, and I'm known to be an overpacker even when it comes to a short trip like the one I'm taking just this week. Base is the best piece of luggage I've ever owned. With the built-in bag for items that may spill to the built-in weight indicator and cushy handle, Not to mention the 360-degree spinning wheels, Base has made my travels so much easier. I love the washable bags for your dirty clothes and shoes. You know, it's the little things I don't think of that Base did. So whether you're packing for a quick trip or looking to breeze through the security line, Base has your personal items covered. Right now, Base is offering my listeners 15% off your first purchase by visiting basetravel.com/whattheworld. Go to basetravel.com/whattheworld for 15% off your first purchase. That's Base, BEIS travel.com/whattheworld. You will not regret it. I own every piece they have, and I love it. Then she says, I need to call his dad. Can I call his dad? The deputy says, you can call whoever you want. So Kouri calls Eric's dad, and she says, hey, something's happened to Eric. His dad, Gene, said, what happened? Kouri says, I don't know. Something's wrong with Eric. And Gene says, why? Kouri says, the paramedics are here right now. I don't know. I was sleeping with Ashton, and I came in the room, and he wasn't breathing. Gene says, and he wasn't breathing? And Kouri says, yes. His dad, Gene, said, do you have the ambulance there? And Kouri says, yeah, they're here. Gene says, they're there? And Kouri says, yes. Eric's dad asks where they're taking him, and Kouri says, nowhere right now. They're doing CPR. His dad said, oh my heavens. Okay, I'll be over in just a bit. Kouri says, okay. Gene says, bye. The deputy asks for Kouri's phone number, and she gives it to him. Now we move to when a paramedic is talking to the deputy. The deputy says, I need to go ask her. I've got to ask her more questions. I'll be right back. She has family here. The paramedic had lost her glasses, and the deputy says, there's some by the bathroom on the floor. He's directing her to the glasses and says, right by the blanket. Nope, on the other side, right by the basket. The paramedic says, okay, sorry, I can't see because I don't have them on. The paramedic asks if Kouri's mom is there now, and the deputy says she was. The paramedic says, so we'll go, and the deputy interrupts and says, yeah, we're good. We're just waiting on our medical examiner and detective to show up. The paramedic says, I'm wondering if he had an aneurysm or something with all the blood. There's a lot of blood for some unknown reason. The deputy asked her if she was first on scene, and she said they were actually second. The fire guy was there before us. The deputy asked about blood, and there was blood. The paramedic said a little bit coming out. As soon as we started doing compressions with the Lucas, which is the automatic compression machine that they'll put on people to automatically do CPR, that's when the blood came out. The deputy said no pulse or anything, and she said no, he was cold. I think he had been dead a while. Not a long time, but he had been dead a minute. He was flatlined the whole time, so she said, bummer, pretty young. Maybe he took some gummies. The deputy says, yeah, that's what she was saying, meaning Kouri. The paramedic said, is that what she was saying? And then the hydrocodone. She said, I think there was hydrocodone or something from 96 or something. A male off camera says 2016. And the female paramedic says, yeah, 2016. We don't know. It was sitting there, though. A male says it's in the drawer right there. The paramedic says there's something. What is this right here? She says, is that what he was taking for Lyme disease? And the deputy says, yes. The paramedic asked the deputy if he wants to check. It's inaudible. And the male says, someone checked it and it was filled in 2016. The paramedic says, yeah, that's the one. The deputy asked if it's in Eric's name, and the male says yes. The deputy says, I think he sleeps on that side of the bed, though. The paramedic said that might be hers. It's in his name, and the man says, it's in his name. It's not hers. The paramedic says, oh, it's his? Okay, but it's empty, right? And the male says, yeah. The paramedic says, I mean, we gave him Narcan, and that would, who knows, probably go into here. The deputy asked when they arrived, was he on the floor already? And she said, yeah, that Kouri had pulled him down to the floor. The fire guy said, dispatch says she was doing CPR, but the fire guy said she wasn't, so they didn't know if she actually did or not. The deputy said not to let anyone in there, and he needs to go ask Kouri some more questions. The deputy asked Kouri if Eric had ever been in the military. She says no. Did he use tobacco? No. What does he do for a living? And Kouri said he owns a stonemason company. The deputy asks if he was on the bed when she discovered him, and she said yes, but his body just felt heavy. And the deputy asked which way he was facing, and Kouri said no, he was just up, just facing up. So the deputy says, laying on his back, and she says, laying on his back, I just can't. And then the deputy interrupts and says, then did you pull him to the ground? And Kouri says, yeah, that's what the lady on the phone told me to do, was to take the sheet to the ground so I could start CPR. The deputy asked Eric's highest level of education, and Kouri said he had a bachelor's degree. She said Eric is active and he didn't just die in his sleep. She said, this is insane. The deputy asks if there are any mental health conditions. Kouri says no. And then he asks any self-harm history. She says no. He asks if Eric has been seen by a doctor in the last 30 days, and Kouri says no. He asks, have any prescriptions been filled in the last 30 days? She says no. He asked if he had a history of falling or prescription drug abuse. She said no to both of those. She said, I mean, when he was in high school and stuff, yeah, he took pain pills, I think. Kouri's mom, Lisa, pipes in and says maybe it was a reaction to his shots he got yesterday. Kouri says, I mean, he didn't feel good from them. Lisa said he didn't look good last night. Kouri said he looked pale the night before, and she asked if he was okay, and he said, yeah, but his chest was hurting. And then the deputy interrupts and says, does he have any history of illicit drug use or anything like that? Kouri says no. The deputy asked if she had the phone number for his primary care physician, and Kouri says probably. Her mom, Lisa, is obviously on the phone and says, I don't know yet, Rooney. We'll see you when you get here. Bye. Kouri says, I don't. It's just at the Park City Family Clinic or hospital. The deputy says, I can look it up. No problem. Kouri apologizes and he says, that's okay. Her mom asks, who told the boys? And she said one of the children told her. A cop obviously had told one of their sons that their dad was deceased. And Kouri's mom says, why would you tell a child? Kouri says, no, they shouldn't have told them, and I asked everyone not to tell them. Her mom said, they all know, they told me. Kouri says, how do they know? And her mom said, one of the kids told me, a cop told him. Kouri asked, would they have told them? And her mom says, no, I wouldn't think. And the deputy said, we were in there, so we were. And then he says, maybe the fire department. Kouri asks, do they know? And her mom says, maybe they know. Kouri says, oh my freaking God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Her mom says, oh my. Kouri says, oh my God. And then her mom said, God, that number just kept ringing this morning. And I'm like, and then the deputy interrupts and says, yeah, because we couldn't find her phone. Her mom said, I thought someone called from a cell phone. And then when you Google it, Kouri in the background, you can hear her say, oh my God. Her mom continues to say that she Googled the phone number and it comes back as a spoof number. And I'm like, what? I'm going to go up there. And these people, Kouri interrupts and asks her mom if the door to her room is closed. And her mom says, yes, they won't let them in. Her mom asks, is Eric still in there? And Kouri says, yes. The deputy said he will explain the process right now because he was in good health. Their medical examiner is going to come and do their investigation real quick. And also their detective will be coming just to make sure everything is documented correctly. And from there, they'll explain what's going to happen next. Most likely what I'm thinking, because he had no serious health problems, Kouri shakes her head no. But due to the fact he had no health problems, his age, most likely they're going to take his body to the, and then Kouri interrupts and says, oh my God. And the deputy says to the medical examiner's office, just to make sure there wasn't anything else. Her mom says, okay. And the deputy says, all right, do you have any questions? Her mom says no, but he did have allergy shots yesterday. The deputy said, yeah, that's what Kouri told me. Kouri's mom said he wasn't feeling good last night when she was over at the house. And the deputy asked what kind of allergy shots he got. And Kouri said they're weekly shots. Her mom says that Eric and his boy would get weekly shots. Kouri said they were both just feeling. And then the deputy interrupts and says, like seasonal allergies? And Kouri says, yes. The deputy asks where that facility was at. And her mom says, Park City. They tell the name of the facility. And Kouri says, oh my God, this can't be happening. This can't be happening. This can't be happening. It's fine. Oh my God. Her mom says, I did. They're all watching TV. I said, you guys go back to sleep. It's 4:00 in the morning. A man says, Cameron is coming. And the deputy says, Cam? "Oh, Cam." The man says, "Yeah, you need to go over there and let her into the Sally port to get the van keys." The deputy says, "Okay." So Eric's obituary, I wanted to read that because I always like to focus on the victims in the case as well as the defendants. Eric Eugene Richins made his last extravagant and largely unexpected gesture on March 4th, 2022, signing off on a life, in his own words, lived to the fullest with few regrets. God certainly perfected the mold when Eric was born to Gene and Linda Richins on May 13th, 1982 in Bountiful, Utah. Eric's world revolved around his family, his love for hunting, the family cattle ranch, and his insane drive as a successful entrepreneur. Being born into the Richins legacy shaped Eric's formative years and resulted in a lifetime of hard work, dedication, and fierce loyalty. Being the eldest was a dubious task, but he was up for the challenge and led and loved his sisters fiercely. At an early age, Eric learned the joys of keeping horses and cows around. He spent countless hours helping his dad work the ranch, hauling hay, feeding the animals, and mending fences. He loved his family unconditionally and was a devoted son, brother, and uncle. Eric was a family man who always strove to be the absolute best father and husband. He was an attentive and loving father to his three sons, Carter, age 9, Ashton, age 7, and Weston, age 5. And a devoted husband to the love of his life and wife of 9 years, Kouri Richins. Eric did absolutely everything in his power to provide for his family with every possible opportunity to learn, grow, and have fun. Growing up, Eric was a serious athlete and loved all sports, whether it was watching them or playing them. He was involved in cross country, basketball, baseball, and soccer. He was also the coach or assistant coach on all of his boys' teams. He spent countless hours coaching and teaching the boys to play aggressive and give it their all. Eric truly cared about every single child he coached and wanted the absolute best for all of them. Eric was an avid outdoorsman and dedicated hunter. He was an excellent archer and marksman and had multiple trophy animals from all around the world, including Africa, Mexico, Canada, and the United States. There was never a dull moment when you were around Eric, whether it be him showing up to a family dinner with no socks or sleeves on his shirt because he had to make an emergency bathroom stop along the way, or calling to tell you he rolled the four-wheeler for the umpteenth time, is stuck and needs you to come get him. Eric loved to have fun and was always the life of the party. He owned almost every motorized toy possible, from four-wheelers and side-by-sides to trucks and snowmobiles. Because of this, he, of course, holds the Richins family record for the most rolls and collisions of motorized vehicles, as well as most stitches received from a single incident, 200 on his face to be exact. Eric was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He served a 2-year mission in Mexico City where he learned to speak Spanish fluently. He received a bachelor's degree from the University of Utah in international studies with a minor in Spanish. Eric's mission and his education truly shaped his business acumen. He had the perfect combination of business sense and foresight. He built a very successful masonry business from the ground up and helped many friends do the same. He had a special ability to build close relationships with everyone he worked with, which really allowed his business to thrive. Eric loved every aspect of his job, but most of all, the people he worked for and those he worked with. Eric faithfully supported organizations that he truly believed in. He never was one that wanted recognition. He did most things anonymously and without recognition. Eric was a true champion of all people. It did not matter if you were an employee, a family, a friend, or the next random person walking down the street. If you needed anything, you could count on him. He truly cared about each person he met. He was always trying to help people find better situations in work and in life. Eric made sure to set time aside to do what he loved most and made sure that everyone around him did the same. Eric loved fully, laughed loudly, and lived life with reckless abandon. He enjoyed great adventures to far-off places, but also cherished the small and finer things in life, like his Under Armour sweatsuits and spending time with his family and friends. No obstacle was too great for Rico. He simply viewed each one as a challenge. No peaks were too high, and the next adventure was just always around the next bend. Words can't describe the loneliness and loss that is felt in every heart that was lucky enough to know him. We all need to learn from Eric's example and be sure to make the time to have fun and do what we love. Thank you, Rico, for being such an inspiration and role model for all of us. We love you, Eric, with our hearts and more. Eric was predeceased in death by his amazing mother, Linda, his paternal grandparents, his maternal grandfather. He is survived by his three incredible sons, Carter, Ashton, and Weston, his wife, Kouri, his father, Eugene, and his sisters, Katie and Amy, his nieces, Madeline and Lillian, and his maternal grandmother, Joan. He's also survived by a multitude of aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends who all loved and adored him. Really sounds like a great guy who was just living his life. So heartbreaking what happened to him. So tomorrow we're going to dive into this bond hearing. We know she was denied bond, but the testimony, it was almost like a little mini trial with these witnesses. Gives a little glimpse into what they have on Kouri as far as evidence goes. And for me, it's been very interesting to watch Sky Lazaro cross-examine these witnesses. She's very effective at it. And the prosecution doing an amazing job as well. Both sides are top-notch. And this is going to be a big case to follow. We're going to be there every step of the way, bringing you the latest. We're nowhere near done diving into these documents. In fact, on Thursday, a friend of mine, Laura, is going to come on. I met her at the Lori Vallow trial. She's a victim's advocate who has a foundation. Also, she is in real estate, and the way that she is able to break down what was going on behind the scenes with these investment properties with Kouri is very eye-opening. And it's not something I could successfully tell you about because it's not my thing. So I'm going to bring Laura on with me. She's great, and she's going to really give a good glimpse into the massive hole Kouri had dug for herself. So tomorrow we're starting the bond hearing that will go likely the rest of the week. So we will see you soon. Hope you have a great rest of your Monday.